Well, welcome to a new Harry's Garage video, and this is my annual roundup. What happened in Harry's Garage in 2021, what was spent on the cars, what cars are added, what cars disappeared, the general sort of overall view of what went on in this space. And the first car I'm going to mention is the one that arrived yesterday, the Jaguar XJC. I just watched back what I said I was going to be doing in 2021, and this was the big one. We were going to restore that blue XJC V12 manual I've had for quite a while, and it's been a bit of a journey. I think we did 8 videos on it throughout 2021, and you guys seem to really lap up sort of following this restoration of this car. 1.8 million views has been on the restoration of this car, and look at it. This is in its finished state. The paint is all done, the engine is in, it runs. I had the wheels refinished, and now you see it under these lights, and I think it just looks fantastic. I'm so pleased with this one-off colour. Quite a few of you have asked for a paint code on it. There isn't one. This is Minotaur green. It's a bespoke Aston Martin colour. When I got that DBX in, it had a sort of modern flip in it. So Novel very kindly redid it without the flip, and they gave a code on it, or a mix, and that's what Painting Classics used to get this result. Just some of the differences at the front, some of the things I did during the restoration, just to give it a slightly different look. You might notice that the number plate is in a different position. Sounds a simple thing, but I think it makes a real change. Normally they're bolted right on the bumper here, and it really winds me up that look. It's sort of far too dominant. And I thought, well, like the Espada is tucked away, I will put it under the bumper here. So when you're sort of walking around the car, you don't see the number plate. You just see all this lashings of chrome, etc., and the V12-ness on here. And you also, I didn't realise just how big that bottom radiator is. That's a great big oil cooler sits there. Because being the V12, that's how a part of its cooling setup, and I think it makes a dramatic change. And a number of you have pointed out that, oh, this car shouldn't have black and white number plates. That is not so. There's been a change in the rules at DVLA, and previously you used to only have black and white number plates pre-73. Now, as the historic tax has sort of chundered through the years, it's pre-79 on all pre-79 cars you can run in the UK. You can run black and white number plates, so they're on there. Yeah, you come round the side. I've stuck with these wheels. These were an optional wheel back in when this car was new, and I think they just really suit it. Lots of you said, oh, you should go up a size, etc. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to give it a sort of standard appearance, but a sporty appearance, and this Rostyle-esque wheel I think just is a distinctive look of early XJS and the XJ coupes of the 70s. It also means that there isn't sort of a huge amount of grip. We haven't added a lot of grip. It goes well. You've got to remember this car has a full suspension kit on it. It's way stiffer than standard. It's got poly bushes on it, adjustable dampers, lower. So it drives magnificently, I think. But look at that coupe look, that open coupe look, I just think is just elegance itself. This is a Williams Lyons design, and also I didn't put back the vinyl roof. This car, when it arrived, didn't have a vinyl roof, and there's no way I would put one on this car. If you have a quick look in the inside, you can't see too much, but the dash, there's the walnut dash is all new in it, and then I've done little details like the dash top is in leather and the door tops, etc. So there's enhancements of leather. The seats are as they were. Actually, I'll just open it. The seats are not retrimmed. They are as they were, and in the back, I just think they have an aged look. Carry on coming round, re-chromed bumper, rear bumper. And then these pipes, so these look original, but they're bigger diameter. And that's part of, yeah, just this engine is tweaked. It sounds terrific. And that was just an added thing. I didn't quite like, it had bolt-ons, little exhaust on it before. These look much more standard. It's just, what I want with this car was for you to be confused. You think it's standard, but it's not standard. And obviously the manual gearbox. But I have to show you the engine under these lights so you can see the magnificence of this V12. Jaguar V12s, they always had this plumbing all on show, so there's no escaping that, but this is just beautiful to look at for a Jaguar V12. I think it's tremendous how it's been done. We have put that new distributor in, it has the amp there to provide extra sparks, and this car was always the previous owner had tuned this car before I got hold of it, and these are quite unique inlet manifolds. They're extended and they have individual trumpets in here that have been put in, and bigger inlets, and then on the air cleaner there's double trumpets so he gets more air in. That is what a previous owner did, and that's what I've sort of carried on, because there's now these tubular manifolds on it as well, and we've put a new sort of fan setup on it because cooling is an issue with the sort of horsepower this is developing. So there's new fans, electric fans gone in there as well. Just mega, absolutely mega, a joy to see that engine, and it sounds terrific. The only thing we've got cold running, it's sometimes on 10 cylinders, so a couple of lazy injectors. And Tom Lenthal did warn me about this in build. I wanted to retain the manifolds. He does a conversion with modern injectors, but I would lose this manifold. I think there's going to be a solution. We're going to see if we put two different injectors in, because they're all rebuilt, whether it persists. But there is a modern injector I can use with this manifold. But that's for another day. It's all part of the snagging list. And I want to get the engine run in, and we'll see if it goes up to 12 when it's running, when it's hot. But outside is salty roads and wet, and this car is not going out in those conditions. So what about the cost of getting it to this sort of condition? Well, I've already discussed the engine in a previous video. That was about £21,000. To do all the bodywork, and deal with all that rust, that added a further 34,000 to it or thereabouts with the leather interior. So a total of £56,457. So 57,000, should we say, is how much the restoration cost on this car. You've got to think then, well, the base car I paid 5,000 for. And then I enhanced it a few years ago with the suspension setup, a shorter diff to make it more accelerative. So it was a 10,000. So all in £67,000. A lot of money for a Jaguar XJ Coupe, but there is just a handful of V12 manual XJ Coupes in this sort of condition. They haven't been restored to this sort of condition. You do E-types and things like that, but the XJC is super rare. And knowing what this car drives like, I don't mind spending that amount of money on it. It's a very rare, very beautiful 70s Jaguar, and you go find another one like that. So there you go, that's the XJ Coupe, but that wasn't the only car that got attention this year. There was also the Rolls-royce Silver Shadow. Now this year we did the bodywork on the Rolls-royce Silver Shadow as well, and I also had those dampers put on it, and it's been transformed by the Bilsteins, and just the appearance of doing that bodywork, it was the best money spent, I think, on this car. We redid some of the chrome, tidied up this little area here where the paint came off when we tried to wash it in the Arctic. But I don't know, it looks terrific now, and it's just a joy to drive. It's such a different sensation, the Rolls-royce Silver Shadow of this vintage. I really like it being a Mark 1. That means it's chrome bumpers rather than the Shadow 2 that had the sort of slight impact bumpers. Probably a better car in lots of ways, better steering, etc. But for me, the Shadow 1 is the one that has the real look about it. In total, I think we spent £6,000 on the bodywork and about £4,000 to have the dampers put on, a few other little tweaks, and I've ordered up some lamb's wool rugs for it as well. But it's like I had that Porsche GT3 in the other day, and I had to do some commuting in it, and it was driving me slightly mad, the sort of hard ride, etc. And I just wanted, I'll just go and do that run to Oxford. I took the Shadow out. It was that's what I use it for. It's like a reminder that cars that had real ride quality, when you've been in something that's just as lumpy and Nürburgring-esque, as to get back into that and just glide somewhere, it's just terrific sensation. And the other bit about it, when you take it into town, you get let out everywhere. Whether they think it's a wedding coming past, I don't know, but it just makes people smile when they see that on the road. And you watched, 700,000 views that generated out of 4 videos of you watching that Rolls-royce having its bodywork done down in Whitney. Then Jaguars, nothing spent on these two, but they both had that European trip in 2021. Project 8 amazed me on that Autobahn run. I've done high-speed runs in gazillions of cars during my career. Very few climb from, say, 150 to 180 as quick as that one does, and then it continues past 180 into 200. I'm slightly kicking myself that I didn't keep my foot in to see how far past it went 200 miles an hour, but all I was looking for, I was watching the digital speed, I got heads up, and it went to 200, 201, and back to 200. So brain said, oh, we're hitting peak speed, but what was actually happening, it was changing gear. It was going into 7th, I think, and it had more to give. But that's for another day. I just like the way I know it's an easy 200 mile an hour car these days. Nothing spent on the Project 7. We had that trip down south of France and into Italy. It's just an easy, simple car. It's so characterful, that supercharged V8. It just gives it a unique character. Whatever you put that engine in, whether it's a Range Rover SVR or one of these, it gives it a real distinctive feel to it. It's rememberable. It's a bit like AMG 6.3 was another wonderful engine that just converted any car they fitted it to into this monster. Same with the supercharged car. First new arrival, the Porsche. And this 930 Turbo S. Now I've just done a video on this car. I will tell more about it, but all I'll say at this point, it's getting more special the more I find out about its early history. I spoke to the owner who had it restored and brought back to the UK, and the key things I wanted to know was the engine. It feels way quicker, more powerful than an LE. Yes, it is. It turns out it's a 3.4 litre motorsport engine. Porsche put it in it from new for Kerry Morse. This guy raced 935s in America. And the roof wheels, 99% certain they were on from the moment it left the factory. Special requests at Porsche would actually fit those wheels, and I now have a listing of the spec of this car, and it had 17-inch wheels ex-factory. That's the only wheel we think was available on a Porsche that special request would fit in 1989 was the roof wheel, and that's why they're going to stay, because they really look the part. I'm going to do an update video on it, but I've discovered now that this engine is pretty fresh, so I'm actually going to have to run it in and treat it as a run-in, and then I'll do another video once I can, show you what it's about after I've done a few more miles in it. Testarossa had quite a quiet 2021. In 22, it's due a belt service, so the engine's going to come out and the cam covers need redoing and a few details like that. I can see I might well be doing something with the Countach, Testarossa and Porsche in 22. That's the aim anyway, and it just needs a little tidy up, freshen up. 21, we've had some drives in it. It's still wonderful, wonderful car. One of the very last cars that will be leaving the garage, because I think the value compared the pleasure I get from this car is one of the best in here. It's the best sounding Ferrari, I think, one of the best. I mean, there's some wonderful sounding Ferrari, so it's hard to say it's the best, but it is a terrific, rich, bellowing, flat 12 sound when you get from it, unique. And it's just easy to live with. It just works, GT-esque, so it's a big favourite. While the Countach, I'm going to do some work. This is the car in 2022 that's going to have a bit of work on it. I've rebuilt the suspension on the Espada, had the Coney dampers and springs redone. It completely transformed the way the car felt. I know the dampers, springs, bushes are all a bit tired on this car, and it also has a noisy gearbox that's getting noisier. So in 2022, the plan is that this will have that work done on it. It's not a full restoration, don't want to go into another one of those with this car, but I want to make it handling absolutely pin as it was when it left the factory. So that's the aim with the Countach. The one car that went in 2021 was the Lotus Esprit Turbo 8C, that I've done those great trips out to Italy, Cortina, to relive that Bond movie, For Your Eyes Only. But when the opportunity came, when that Porsche 930 came up, I like having a turbo in the garage, and that combined finally getting a 911 in the collection again, I let the Esprit go, and that allowed me to get the Porsche 930. The F40 is still here. I don't mind at all. It lives here. And then the little Toyota Yaris GR. I forgot, I was just doing the garage roundup, just about to come up here. So, oh no, I haven't put the Yaris in, so it's a bit wet. It shows you what the weather is outside. Obviously this arrived in March 21, and we're using it, as you can tell. It lives outside the house, doesn't live in here. And it's our go-to spare car. My son uses it a lot. I nick it every now and then. We've done track days in it, etc. So it's a very useful car and lives up to this typical Toyota. You just trust it. It's easy to use, easy to park. You don't worry. The value's good at £34,000. We had the Litchfield suspension put on it. From memory, I'll flash it. I think it was £2,500 to have that fitted with the nitron dampers, and I had it lowered, and I've been playing around with the damper settings. I mean, it was good anyway, but it just rounded off the bumps. There was a bit of harshness on the ride. That harshness is gone. But it hasn't sort of cushioned it completely, but it's pointier. I think they do something with the camber that's all the weights are set up on it. And it's just a pleasure to drive. Every time I get in it, you smile. You can go out in company of other bigger, faster cars, but this one is just there all the time. So we really enjoy it. We did actually do an early service on it because it went down to 3 cylinders. It was like if it got high boost, suddenly it went to 3 and it would flash up a fault. And there was a coil pack that had given up on it. Toyota obviously replaced it under the warranty, and we had some oil change. We actually changed the diff oil on it and things like that as well. So it's had a service, its first service. They're quite short service intervals on a GR Yaris. So that's that. Elan, we've just had a few more runs of that. And the Fiat, I'm still going to do an engine rebuild, maybe in 2022. There's one car I've forgotten, and that is, how could I forget the Zagato that normally sits here. Yeah, that went in. I was looking again on the 2020 video. I said, let's just have the engine rebuilt before we did those rally. We're going to do those rally in the Pyrenees with spoke rallies. And that didn't happen as we went into lockdown, and we couldn't fly various places. So unfortunately it didn't. So I have gone further on the Zagato. The latest on the Zagato, they were about to do the hatchback, remake the hatch. But then they discovered some rot at the bottom and they reshaped it. So I haven't done an update video on it. I want to go back down there when it's about to get painted, but it's almost there. The spend on the Zagato, you're probably wondering, well, it's sort of ongoing. All the engine is now rebuilt. The front subframe is just ready to bolt into once the body is all painted and we'll put it all together. But we're in for £32,164 as of today, so that includes the engine rebuild, chassis suspension rebuild, and part of the body restorations as well. One more thing I just want to mention. If you collect cars like I do and you don't really use them over the winter, one of the fears you have is with the new fuel we get in the UK, E10, so 10% ethanol in regular unleaded. Now, my trick when I'm storing cars for a longish time, I always fill the tank right up and I use super unleaded. There is talk that Esso is 0 ethanol. I don't know if that's true. I think it varies in regions, depends how close you are to a refinery, etc. But it's always this risk of ethanol. And ethanol in fuel, the downside of it, particularly in bikes, but early cars, is it absorbs moisture. And when it absorbs moisture, it will then sit at the bottom of the fuel tank or the bottom of the carburetors, and then it can sort of go off and corrode jets or make your tank go rusty along the seams. It can goo up injection systems, early Ferraris, etc. So it's just generally bad news having ethanol in fuel. And E10, I think, is going to accentuate this issue. Not nearly as bad on modern cars, if you're storing a modern Ferrari or whatever, because they have super sealed systems. It doesn't get exposed to the air, so its chances of absorbing moisture are much lower. That's not so in classic cars and bikes, etc. And I found a way around it, and I discovered from another collector this storage fuel. Now, if you Google Anglo-American Oil Company, they do this storage plus fuel, 99 octane, and this is zero ethanol fuel, and it's guaranteed to not change at all for 3 years. So you can put it in a bike and that's it. It's about £3 a litre, so yes, it's more expensive, and it comes in 10-litre cans like that, you'll see over there. But I've gone around the bikes and drained it. What you do is drain the fuel that's in it already. On the bikes, I tended to run them out so the carbs are empty, but just drain it of fuel and then put some of this storage fuel in it. And it seems to be, if I just start this up, I don't know if it flames better or something, but it starts instantly from cold on 6 cylinders, and I know there's now storage fuel in all those carburetors, and Honda CBX are very prone to having carburetor issues if they're not run. So I've done it in all the bikes, but I'm going to use it in some of the cars as well, the Elan, some of the other cars. I don't know if I put it in the Testarossa, but I just thought you ought to be aware. The other thing I just want to show you, these CTEK charges, and you can hot wire your battery in. So there it is, that's on green. This is a trickle charge. What I love are these little connectors, so you can put it on the battery and then swap it around. So I don't have a charger for every single bike, and you can get them with little indicators on. That's really handy. So I know this Super 10, there it is, flashing green. There's no need to charge that one. If there was, well, I can just swap it from this one, so that one's on green as well, and just put it in. I really like that feature on CTEK batteries, and it doesn't matter whether you're plugging it into a bike or a car, it knows the sort of voltage it's dealing with. There is a new CTEK charger, and that's this one. I'm sort of trying it. It's their new generation charger. I mean, it's actually all charged up. This is on this one. What's a bit weird with this one, they're not coloured crocodile clips. You just clip it on the battery. It doesn't matter if it's positive or negative. It can work it all out. And there's an app on your phone. So that's sort of general overview of what's happened in 2021. It's been an incredibly busy year. We've done a huge amount of videos. I did all those bike videos, you remember, and with lockdown, yeah, a lot of local stuff. I would love to have done more trips out and about. And total cost, what else have we got? Oh, insurance, yes, £7,838 this year, went up £100, and me to be able to drive the test cars, etc., with Footman James. It is peculiar insurance that when you have classics, it's a whole lot cheaper as ever. It's the more expensive and the newer cars that really climb. I say about 4,000 of that insurance is taken care of with the Project 7 and the Project 8, and the Countach is like £200 a year, and this is probably similar. It's just the way we use the cars. I think that's what they look at. But yeah, total cost this year are slightly eye-watering, to say the least. £106,000 we spent on the restoration of this car. The thing about this Jaguar, I just think it's worth spending that money because you just don't see them in this condition. I am very happy owning that car. It's half the price of an E-Type or something like that in that sort of condition, and rare, and the fact it actually drives so well as well. What I've sort of realised for 22, I think it's 4 cars with freshly rebuilt engines. The Espada, obviously this is freshly rebuilt, the XJ Coupe, the turbo, the 930 turbo, I've got to run that engine in, and when the Zagato is finally finished, I expect it's going to be finished in March, April time, I'm going to have to run that car in. So 2022, what I'm hoping to do is more trips, maybe not as many videos, because they were really a lot of them in 21. Whether I can keep that up into 22, I don't know, we'll wait and see. But I want to do some more trips and really enjoy these cars and bikes. There's a trip out to Dakar Bespoke Rally I'm organising in November. I'm going to do everything I can to be on that. So there you go, there is the roundup for 2021 and a few little hints of what's going to happen in 22. Thanks ever so much for watching the channel. I think we're touching 30 million views for 2021. Thank you so much for the support. You know, I do actually really enjoy doing these videos, and I wouldn't be doing them without your support. So thank you for that. If you have enjoyed these videos, well, more videos coming along very soon. Thanks for watching.